your home buying journey, the roadmap to successful homeownership. Today, we are going to be, you don't just have to listen to me today, lucky you. So I have my friend Chelsea on. Chelsea works for Stratos Wealth Partners, and she's a PhD, so she's super smart. So listen to everything she has to say. I actually invest money with her, so I just wanted to share. Everybody that I have on this series are people that I have worked with personally. So
sounds great.
So Chelsea started her career in higher education when she switched to Stratos Wealth Partners. She has a passion for education, loves helping people understand their finances and working towards their goal. This is where she's super smart. She has a PhD in English from UNLV, a master's from Weber State, and a bachelor's from BYU Provo. Did I get that right?
Yep.
She's won multiple awards, and in 2023 was named one of 8 Excellence awardees for the Investment News Women to Watch Rising Star of the Year Award. How cool is that? Congrats. She's a local Utah resident. She enjoys social partner announcing, reading, hiking, traveling. There's also a crazy animal lady like I am and a plant lover. So she has 2 rescue cats and lots of plants. And you can also find her occasionally teaching and volunteering. So thank you, Chelsea, for helping me today. Today we're going to talk about saving money. So whether we're saving for a down payment or just saving in general / investing. I have had many people over the years who have said, like, I'm going to wait and save money, and then they don't have a plan to save any money. So in fact, I had a client last summer, I believe I spoke to, and he and his fiance had been renting for over 10 years, and they added up and they had spent over $100,000 in rent. And that total number just kind of blew me away. Cause like I always talk about things in monthly numbers, and when you rent for 10 years, like that adds up. And I just thought, oh man, what if he had 25% of that back to do something with? He would be in a very different position. But he over those 10 years, he talked to a few different lenders, gotten pre-approved tried to get pre-approved a couple different times, never quite worked out. And then you just go back into signing your lease and back into the same routine. And, a year or 2 later, you come back and you haven't done anything different, and you're in the same situation. So that's what brings me to you. And today we're going to talk about saving and investing. So where do people start? I think it's overwhelming. Probably a lot of people think they have to have like a ton of money to start investing. Like what's the first step?
I think you're right. People get overwhelmed with the idea of like, I have to have a lot of money to start. I don't know where to start. And I would say actually jumping right into where you left off is this sense of all of that money adds up over time. Looking at that rent is, oh, did you want to buy a home? Was that your plan? And you didn't take the steps to get there because you never solidified that plan. So I would say the first step is to know what you're investing for. Is it retirement? Is it that home down payment? Is it the boat or the recreational property? Or is it saving for college, right? There's all sorts of reasons to want to save money. And once you have that in mind, then you can start with as little as, if all you can start with is $25 a month, stash away that 25, or you can start, $100 a month, whatever it is. The first step is to decide what it is that you want, because that's the only way we can build a plan to move forward. And so once, you've got that plan, you're on your way. You can then talk with a professional, whether it's at your local credit union or whether it's a financial advisor like myself, even somebody like you, Tara, who helps people get ready to purchase that first home. If that's what they're there for, they could be asking somebody like you, where do I put my money until, right? Like, who do I talk to? And not being afraid to ask is that next step.
Yeah, that's obviously a huge, people are embarrassed, I think, maybe afraid to talk to people, and they're afraid of what we're going to say. So I want to say to everybody, we are not here to judge where you're at. We're just here to help you try to get to where you want to be. So talk about timing. How How long do you have to have money sitting there? Like talk about time and how getting your money to like work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step is to look at what that goal is. Is it you want to purchase a home in the next 3 to 5 years? If it's even shorter, hey, I have 1 year until I have this new car payment that I want a down payment for the car. Whatever that is, you need to determine what your timeline is. If it's that shorter, you want to use things that we call money market instruments. What those are is they're considered rather risk-free investment or low risk that you can get out quickly, but they give you an interest rate. Now, many people have heard of these. It's like a certificate of deposit or CD. That's the first one. You can get them in, say, 3, 6, 9, or 12 months, sometimes even years, at a certain interest rate. And right now, people have really liked those because they have good interest rates right now with the Federal Reserve having raised rates. You may not like those interest rates for a mortgage, but you sure like them for a money market. And then, the one thing about those is that there are surrender charges. So if you have to pull it out early, you do pay a small surrender charge. So if you're thinking, well, I might need a little bit of flexibility on that, choose something like a high yield savings account. You hear a lot about those lately. Those often, they may have a minimum deposit, but you can pull them out. They work just like a savings account, but they give you a higher interest rate. So you're earning money on that. And then that's the same if you wanted to open a stock market account. There are exchange traded funds that are considered money market or ultra short bond funds, those types of things that are really liquid. You can buy and sell and get your money out in a day. And then the other one would be short-term treasuries. Those are considered the risk-free rate. So something like 3, 6, 9 months, again, the treasury market has that, and backed by the good faith of the U.S. government and your tax dollars. So then, if you're looking at something that's 3 years, you might look at something like a bond, like a treasury that is a little longer duration, so you can get some growth through interest rate. Again, it's very safe. There is maybe a little bit of risk involved, but in our industry, we say that, government bonds are the risk-free investment. Or you could look at something like corporate bonds or bank loans, things that give you a little bit greater interest rate because you have time to let your money grow. And something that we like to call balanced funds. You hear of that famous 60-40 portfolio, 60% stock, 40% bonds. If you have a little longer time horizon, you can look at adding some of those high quality stocks to your portfolio because historically speaking, when we're looking at market returns, understanding that history doesn't necessarily look forward, but to say that the longer you're in the market, the more likely it is you see a higher return. And that's the same thing that I'm going to say about any goal that's 5 years or more out is consistently invest, bring in that money, but consider a diversified strategy based on what your comfort level is that uses stocks, bonds, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, instruments that if you're not sure what those are, you can talk to somebody like myself, a financial advisor. There's a lot of good education out there nowadays too that you could look at, but definitely talk to a professional because you'll get perhaps some better answers than whatever you'd find on TikTok.
Yeah, 100%. People always say like, I Googled this. And it's like, oh boy. So Google is a great resource, but it's not specific advice to you. So what I heard you say is like, there's a ton of different places to put your money and you could probably get yourself in a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing, but it's better than doing nothing. So even if it's just the CD or the high yield savings at your bank account, do something to start and keep adding to it. Like that's really how it's going to grow. So talk about compounding real quick.
So compounding is when, the famous example is if somebody offered you $1,000 or a penny that doubled every day, which would you take? And if you say $1,000, you've missed out because that penny doubling quickly becomes thousands and then hundreds of thousands and then millions, because what's happening is that penny doubles and then both of those pennies double. Right. And that's compound interest. So instead of 2 cents the next day, you've got 4 cents, and it just keeps doubling. And that's hard for us as individuals to understand, especially like the human brain struggles with that. But just thinking about it in percentages is a lot more helpful. I tell people that, you can start an investment account with as little as, say, $100. But when it comes down to it, 100% return on $100 is $100. But if you have a 10% return on $100,000, that's $10,000. And so you need to worry less about the amount of return the more money you have. So that's where, when you're starting out, like you had said, that regular contribution, whether it's that you just automate that into a savings account or an investment account, that it comes in every month and we're getting it in that high yield savings or in an investment, that regular contribution, then that compounding is allowed to add up because you're putting your principal in, or that original amount. And then every year, say on that high yield savings, if you're getting 5% on that starts looking really nice.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up really quickly. So I think that's the key for everybody to take away, is whatever vehicle you use, let that money work for you the best you possibly can. Any final words of wisdom you want to share with everybody?
Just that when you start despairing, you're that person who's like, I've been renting for 5 or 10 years. And if I added up that, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm never going to make it. Don't beat yourself up, because we all start at different times, and getting started gives you a better shot by starting today than if you wait another 5 years to start. Just allow yourself the grace to forgive yourself for what you didn't know, and to make a plan going forward and stick to it. And if you need somebody who is a professional to help advise you on that plan and keep you on track, don't be afraid to find the help you need, and it's worth it.
Beautifully said. We don't talk about it enough as we're younger, and then you just go through life and all of a sudden you get to a point where you want to make some bigger financial decisions and you're completely unprepared. So it's okay. That's okay. That's what our job is as professionals, to guide you through that process, whether it's investing or home buying. So that was amazing. Don't be afraid to reach out to either of us. We are here for you. How do people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me by going to my website, www.stratosutah.com, and you can schedule an appointment for the phone, on Zoom, or in person, or you can give me a call at 801-917-6397.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to be on. Thank you.